Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. I'm Sefni Novita Sari. I'm an economics student at Universitas Negeri Padang. Now, I will explain the material about the macroeconomic theory. So, I hope you will understand what I say. Okay, I will explain the material about the calculation and analysis of GDP deflator, consumer price index or CPI, and unemployment rate. The first material is GDP deflator. GDP deflator is a price index that calculates the average level of price of the goods and services, include gross domestic product. The formula of GDP equal nominal GDP divided real GDP multiply 100. A GDP deflator is used to measure inflation. GDP deflator will increase when the average level of price are increased. GDP deflator equal 100 in base year. For example, data for the economy from 2015 until 2016. Economic data from 2015 until 2016 is known that in 2015 the nominal GDP is $75,000 and real GDP is $75,000. So the nominal value and real GDP are the same. In 2016, the nominal GDP was 88,700 and the real GDP was 85,000. So the nominal value was greater than the real GDP value in 2017. In 2017, the nominal GDP was $101,600,000 and the real GDP value was $88,000. The same as in 2016, the nominal value was greater than the real GDP value. So, now we are going to take this data in GDP deflator and we are going to use it to calculate the annual inflation rate. So you can see in the slide, in the table, based on previous data, we know that the value of GDP deflator in 2015 is 100, 2016 is 104, and 2017 is 115. One more problem, and perhaps a slightly more complicated problem, is this. So let's suppose in 2018 that an economy has a nominal GDP of 2000 and the GDP deflator equals 125. What is the value of real GDP in 2018? So, GDP deflator equal nominal GDP divided real GDP multiply 100. We know that GDP deflator is 125. So, 125 equal 2000 divided real GDP multiply 100. And then 125 equal 200,000 divided real GDP. So change position, 125 real GDP equal 200,000 and real GDP is 200,000 divided 125 equal $1,600. So the real GDP is $1,600. So there is a slightly more complicated problem, but it's not too bad if we recall with the GDP deflator formula. The next material about the Consumer Index Price or CPI. Consumer Index Price is a measure of the overall cost of goods purchased by people living in metropolitan urban areas. CPI is used to calculate inflation and increase in the average level of price. Annual inflation rate, the percentage change in the CPI from its preceding year. The formula of inflation rate equal CPI this year minus CPI last year divided CPI last year multiplied 100. The next material about the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate is the proportion of those who want to work but do not have a job and unemployment rate via ladder survey. The formula of unemployment rate is number of unemployed people divided number of people in the labor force. We calculate the unemployment rate by looking at the number of unemployed people divided by number of people who happen to be in the labor force. The labor force does not include everybody. It's not just everybody who happens to live in a city. The labor force does not include there is children in the labor force, so 8 years old do not count. They are not expected to be working. Nobody who's ill or infirm or sick. They are not considered part of the labor force even though they are not working. In a city that has 3,000 people unemployed and has a workforce of 76,000 people, so that comes the figure of 3.9% unemployment. Sometimes people become so discouraged after looking for work that they give up, and when that happens, they are no longer seen as part of the workforce. If the economy revives, then people who have left the workforce may start looking for work again. If the number of people in the workforce increase, and we reduce this 3,000 by giving people looking for work. If this 76,000 goes up, as discouraged people re-enter the workforce, there may be a long and we don't see the unemployment rate really going up even though the economy. So we have to be very careful when we interpret the unemployment rate, and that's just one of many things.